Yay, and we are live. Welcome to another weekend wellness session with us. Today I am with Doc Nat Ngan to talk about everything to do with hormones. So good morning, Doc. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm super excited for this talk. Simply because it's super relatable for me. It's
Yeah.
relatable, I know, with a lot of my friends who,
Mhm.
go through PCOS problems or are dealing with infertility. I have a lot of friends with thyroid issues and stuff like that I didn't realize was a hormone issue until this
Mhm.
morning. So let's talk a little bit about that, Doc. So what are hormones exactly? Like, what is their functions sa katawan
Yeah.
natin? And what happens when they're not balanced or when they're in whack?
Mhm. Okay. So, hormones, it's such a big, scary topic to us doctors because it can get so complicated. But in
Mm-hmm.
order to just make it very simple so that everyone can understand, so hormones are basically your signaling molecules, right? So you have these molecules in your body that sends different messages to different organs within your systems so
Mm-hmm.
that they can release specific signals or actions to the rest of your bodies. So, for instance, the endocrine system of your body has different components, right? From the brain, your hypothalamus, and then it goes on and on to the rest of your bodies that signal specific messages to your thyroid or to your pancreas, to your ovaries, your testes, and then that in turn would make sure that your system is within the normal ranges, or at least it keeps it within the normal fluctuations in your body. Yeah.
Got it.
So basically, if there's a disruption in all those messages and all those signaling pathways, that's when you'll experience your hormonal imbalances.
Mhm.
So that's when you see problems with your ovaries if you're having PCOS or infertility, or you're going through menopause, or in your pancreas if something is happening with your insulin.
Mhm.
Um, that will change with your diabetes or other things. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Because like usually, at least for me, the way I think about hormones, it's like it's something that kicks in
Mm-hmm.
when puberty hits, and then sometimes like sometimes it is out of whack, and in my head it's
Yeah.
kind of like it's genetics, like I have no choice over
Right.
this. It's something na naman ako, and I just have to kind of deal
Deal
with
with
it. So like
it.
is that the
Yeah.
case?
Well, I mean, of course, definitely genetics plays a role in it, but then living in this day and age, I have to say that it's definitely the environment that we're in, what we're ingesting, what we're putting into our systems. So just a like right off the bat example, like for me, with women my age, like I'd say about 80% of us have PCOS. Like it's so
What?
common now, yeah, than compared to years ago. And it's
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely because of our lifestyle factors. It's what we eat. It's our life, like our sedentary lifestyle, I guess. But yes, so it is genetically predisposing, but at the same time, I'd say it's mostly also a lifestyle. It's what happens when we ingest certain products, the food that we eat now, our lifestyle. Are we exercising enough? That plays a role in hormonal imbalances. And of
Got
course, stress. Stress is such a major issue with hormones. Like it's a really bad effect. Yeah.
For sure. Based
Mhm.
on personal experience, definitely. But yeah, for me, it's just listening to you talk, Doc. It's just it's so it kind of gives me the idea that we don't have to kind of be a slave to these hormonal imbalances. That there is a way to not just live with it, but to get rid of it
Mhm.
entirely.
Yeah.
And you have the story as well of kind of like your
Yeah.
journey with like hormonal imbalance. Can you tell us a little bit of
Yeah.
what that was for you?
Okay. So, like during high school, I didn't have any problems. I just had normal menstrual period every month. And then come college days, I was still having normal menstrual periods, but the cramps were getting so bad to the
Mm.
point where I would get almost fever. But then what really struck me the most was how I looked, my physical attributes. I gained
Mhm.
so much weight, but I wasn't eating a lot. My diet didn't change.
Mhm.
And at the same time, I was getting a lot of pimples all over my cheeks. I was
Mm-mm.
getting facial hair,
Yeah.
and of course, like you're so insecure already about it. You're in college and like, what's going on, right? Of course, there was also mood swings. And at that time, I wasn't really thinking of so much of my hormones. I was just looking at my skin. And
Mm-mm.
I remember even going to my dermatologist and just one look at me and she goes, "You have PCOS. This is
Really?
not an acne problem." Like she already
Uh-huh.
knew right off the bat. So I went to see my gynae, my OB gynae, Dr. Martin Manahan. He's amazing
Mhm.
because he's not just your conventional doctor who would tell you, "Oh, you need to get on the pill so that you can control all your symptoms." But he really made me realize that I had to change my diet and my lifestyle.
Mhm.
So Doc Manahan would tell me, because you can't treat PCOS. There's no such thing as like, I'll give you this drug and then it's gone forever. It's a symptomatic problem, right? So unless you control the symptoms or what you're doing to your body, it will definitely manifest.
Mhm.
So after, yeah, just changing my diet, I made sure I wasn't eating so much sugar, since PCOS is very, very dependent on your insulin, right? So
Wow.
I had to make sure I wasn't eating chocolates, cakes, all that dessert good stuff.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it was exercise that helped a lot. So I started working out. I started doing indoor cycling and things like that. And after I'd say about a year, when we did another ultrasound, it was gone. Yeah.
Oh wow. So it
Yeah.
really was that lifestyle change that because
Mm-hmm.
in my head, sorry, like if I was in college and I was going through all that, I was just gonna chalk it up to puberty. You know,
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
it's the freshman 15. Oh, I'm getting acne because I'm at that age. Like, oh, I'm gaining weight because
That's
I'm
the
at
way.
that age. And
Yeah.
yeah, and then a lot of us just kind of disregard it, right?
Yeah.
And then whatever, it's just something I have to live with. Yun pala, it was PCOS already.
It was already PCOS coming up. Yeah. It was crazy. And when I started, taking charge of what I was putting into my system and putting
Mm-hmm.
out, yeah, I saw the big difference. I wasn't having any more acne. There was
Mm-hmm.
less facial hair here. Oh my gosh, it was so
Yeah.
embarrassing.
So
And at the same time, you just feel better about yourself. Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty amazing for me. And just the realization of how much sugar
Mm,
really, like just affects your body that much. Like, it kills the good bacteria in your gut, and apparently
yeah.
it also kind of helps your hormones just to stay basically out of whack for as long
Yeah.
as possible.
Yeah.
Um, so Doc, I'm just curious. So like how's your like your PCOS issues now? Like is
It's
it still there, or like what
Well,
happens?
I was able to get pregnant, which is great. So my PCOS level definitely was in control. It
Hmm.
will never be gone forever. It won't disappear forever. It can always come back.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I didn't have to take the birth control pills anymore. I was on about it for a year or two. So it was
Hmm.
definitely a lifestyle change. Definitely eliminating all the bad stuff, processed food, things like
Yeah.
that. I had to get rid of basically anything in jars or in can. I had to go more
Mm.
natural, more fruits and vegetables, definitely.
So
And
it really is very conscious in a
yeah,
way of
it's a
you
conscious
really,
decision.
and you really being mindful of what you are putting into your body, so
Yep,
it
yep,
wouldn't affect you as much. That's
yeah,
interesting. because like yeah, a lot of my friends like who are married now and have PCOS, like
Mhm.
that is their main kind of issue. They're like, oh, I want to have a baby, but
Mm.
I have PCOS, so it's going to be really hard. And
Yeah.
they've just kind of accepted the fact na oh, mahihirapan ako because I have
Mhm.
PCOS.
Yeah.
So based on your experience, like
It's
is
very
that the
common.
case?
But I mean, yes, definitely PCOS is one of, I'd say, the top three reasons of infertility.
Mm-hmm.
But just taking it step by step, figure out first, why are you having PCOS? What are the modifiable factors that you can take and change? So is it the diet? Are you exercising enough? Are you stressed? Are you sleeping enough? Right? And once all those factors are being put into play, then you can go to the next step. Are there other reasons of infertility? What can I do about it? Is my body equipped for it? And one of the other common or causes of that issue also is, of course, looking into your gut, right? So,
Mm,
coming back into like functional medicine, how we really focus on our gut or our gastrointestinal system is that it really has such a determining factor of your health, right? A happy gut means that you're healthy.
yeah.
So it's important in terms of our hormones because it does affect our immune system. So once it affects our immune system, it's going to affect everything else in in our body.
Yeah.
All our organs are connected to each other, and like what I said, our hormones are those signaling molecules, right? So it's sending messages all throughout our bodies,
Yeah.
and our gut is the core in that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sure that everything is playing its function and it rolls.
Mm-hmm.
So if there is a problem in the gut, if you're having leaky gut, for instance, or a dysbiosis, meaning that there is a imbalance in the gut flora, then that in turn will affect how your hormones are being sent out to different systems of your body. Yeah.
Got it. So ano talaga like it's pretty amazing because at least for me, like I kind of grew up where in my head it's kind of like when I go to the doctor, it's more like spot treatment, right? Like, okay, let me tell you what I'm feeling. This is my symptom,
Yeah.
and okay, this is the solution, or this is the medication that you need to take to get rid of that symptom.
Hmm.
And in my head the entire time I was just kind of thinking that that's just how it is. If something hurts, okay, I just take this for that symptom. But just hearing you talk, like, so there isn't just, yes, there is a pill or something for like PCOS to help maintain it, but it's just so much more than that one symptom. It really is holistic in a way that you have to look at your lifestyle, you have to look at the
Yeah.
food that you're feeding your body,
Yeah.
uh, and try to figure out like that disruption. uh,
Hmm.
so it really is like an imbalance everywhere, not just
Yeah.
in that like one part that's happening. Is diabetes like a hormonal imbalance as well? And can you maybe talk a little bit about
Yeah, we can talk about diabetes. So that's definitely an insulin problem, right? So
that?
insulin is
Hmm.
one of your important hormones as well in maintaining your blood sugar, your glucose levels in your system. So if there's a disruption in your pancreas, which is the main organ involved in diabetes, that will definitely affect your insulin levels.
Hmm.
And, of course, diabetes is genetically predisposed. However, there is another type of diabetes where you can develop that in your later adult years. And
Hmm.
the way that in which you're high risk in that is in the food that you eat. So if you're eating high carbs every day, like lots and lots of rice, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then having desserts after, that could definitely prone you to diabetes,
Hmm.
and that's also a an inflammatory problem, right? So if you if,
Right.
if you guys did listen to Doc Sasa and Doc Ben, I'm sure they talked about it, how this inflammatory problems in your systems will relate into diabetes or other diseases like cardiovascular. Yeah.
Mhm. So like so for me, for example, like my dad got diabetes in his later years. So I don't think
Mhm.
that it's really in our genes. It's just
Yeah.
that he just really loves his sugar. And that's what kind of happened to him. And he was on so many like maintenance drugs.
Yeah.
Um Pero I think he used that kind of as an excuse just to keep eating sugar. It's because yeah, no,
Yeah.
I have the maintenance already, so I can kind of still continue. And
That's such a common, that's really common, of course, because if you're given something to correct it, would
yeah,
you, I mean, the mindset would be, oh, I can just continue this because there's
yeah,
something helping me, right? But that's that's a bigger issue because you're not looking at the underlying problem,
hmm yeah,
and with conventional medicine, not that I'm against conventional medicine,
yeah,
is that they address a problem with, oh, here's a pill, here's your
yeah,
med, and you'll be fine. But they don't look at the other important issues, asking you, why are you here in the first place? Like,
hmm
uh, what can we do first to tackle that issue, right? So, like with diabetes, yes, you'd have to be in your maintenance, but you can have your lifestyle changes. You could change your
exactly.
diet, you could exercise more, work on your gut issues so that you
hmm
wouldn't have to have a bajillion meds, right?
Yeah, and eventually, like, wean yourself off of whatever
Yeah.
medication you're on. I mean, that's the goal, right? You have your conventional doctors to really help you feel better as fast as possible. But then it really is up to you then to work on it. But what I like about hearing this is like, that we aren't beholden to our hormonal imbalances, which a lot of the times is just that's just kind of the case, right? We have like rising cases of diabetes,
Mhm.
and people are just kind of accepting it that it is what it is. Oh, I have it na, I wala na, or I'm gonna go keto for 3 months, and then after that I'm just gonna go back to my regular diet because
Just one, yeah.
yeah, like it feels better.
Mhm.
So like what about let's say like thyroid problems, for
Mhm.
example. That's something na namamana natin, but at the same
Yeah.
time it's also something that can be triggered by a lot of stress,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the medication for that is medyo matapang. So for somebody who has thyroid issues, like what
Mhm.
would your kind of advice be?
Definitely, one, yes, go on your maintenance, but at the same time, there are other ways to do it. With thyroid, kasi it's a little bit hard. It's not so
Mhm.
clear cut na take out the sugar or take out
Yeah.
specific food items, right?
Mhm.
Unlike diabetes or PCOS.
Yeah.
But with thyroid problems, like for instance, at our clinic in Central, we would advise them to go on detox. So for instance,
Mhm.
um, we would ensure that whether in their gut or in their liver, it is
Mhm.
being detoxified through, let's say, colon cleanse, or we put them on a detox strict diet, right?
Mm.
So it's very similar to the elimination diet where we're taking out all the inflammatory food items, such as your processed food,
Mhm.
coffee, tea, things like that.
Sugar.
Um, Triggers, yeah, your triggers. So yeah, so that's what we do, and we ensure that you're eliminating whatever toxins that are causing the problem. So whether with
Mm.
your thyroid, if you're having hyperthyroidism, you're having high levels of um, your thyroid releasing hormones or your T3, T4, I mean. So we would tap into those, right?
Mm.
However, if you're having hypothyroidism, your thyroid levels are low, then we would, of course, give you your supplements, your natural supplements, um, and to ensure that you're having a stabilized
Yeah.
hormone range. Yeah.
Okay. But then it's something that can it be something that can be reversed or maintained lang?
Definitely. It can be reversed if it's not too late. Yes,
Mm.
definitely with your lifestyle choices.
Uh-huh.
It can also be, you can control the severity of it as well, right?
Yeah.
So if you're definitely having your choices in life, eliminating stressors or your triggers, that can definitely lower the severity of it. Yeah,
Okay, so it's again, it is manageable.
definitely manageable. Yeah.
We aren't beholden to it. Yeah, I think I was sharing to you my story of like
Yeah.
my hypothyroid journey.
Mhm.
When I was like 190 pounds at one point. Um, and my doctor was like, "Oh, these are the medications that you need to take, et cetera, et
Mhm.
cetera. And also, like, here are medications to protect your liver." And I was like, "Wait lang, like, why
Mhm.
do I need medication for my liver if this is a thyroid problem?" And he was
Yeah.
like, "Medyo matapang kasi yung meds, so you need this extra for your liver." And then, like once you start taking it, either babalik ka sa normal weight mo or lolobo ka lalo. So,
Oh
it's really Russian roulette kung ano mangyayari sa'yo. And I was like, paano hindi to tama?
your choice.
parang,
This bad
parang,
or this bad.
yeah, I'm like, parang hindi madami lang yung problema ko. And it really was, I think that was my aha moment of like what is the main cause of this thyroid issue and what was happening to me. And it really was a lot of stress. And
Mhm.
I had to do like extra research on, okay, if I wanted to parang heal myself like no, like naturally, like
Mhm.
what would be the route to do that? I know it's going to be longer, but at least like my liver
Your liver
isn't
is okay.
yeah, my liver's gonna be okay. I'm like, oh my gosh, like liver and kidneys, like yun yung matatamaan ng iniinom kong gamot. And then I have to take maintenance for that eventually. Parang that doesn't sound like a good idea.
It doesn't
Um,
sound like a solution.
exactly. But like I think for a lot of people, like that's the reality and they just kind of accept it. Now well, it is what it is. So what I
Mhm.
love about this talk is, the realization nga na okay, so I kind of did it the hard way, but that really is how we're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it really is taking a look at your lifestyle and seeing what's not working
Yeah.
and then
It's definitely looking at the root of it all, right? Asking the
mhm,
questions. Like, why do I have this? Where did I get this from? And how can
mhm,
we change it? It's not necessarily like an end. Like this is, let's say, like with your case, you were given you were advised to be given a medication, but then there's like something else that's gonna cause like a
yeah.
worse problem. So yeah, it's definitely a mindset, how you can fix it, and that there is a solution. You just have to look at the roots of it all.
Yeah, I love that. Like there are other options. It
Mhm.
isn't just this one thing that you have to do,
Mhm.
and dagdag ka lang ng dagdag ng like maintenance problems mo like as you go further down the line. So like what else more or less like affects our hormones? Like we naturally go into, for example, for women, we naturally go into menopause, right,
Mhm.
at a certain age. And
Yeah.
like I've had like my mom's friends or something, like either like they get like an entire hysterectomy for some reason, or
Yeah.
they go into like hormone replacement therapy, is it called, in
Yeah.
order
Yeah.
to help mitigate it. And it like wala pa naman tayo doon, but like it feels like such a pain. So like what happens there and why do people go to those extremes in order
Yeah.
to deal with menopause?
Well, the thing is with menopause, right? So I mean, it's a natural process, right? And it's when our estrogen levels are changing, right? Usually, it becomes much higher or lower. So basically, with all these problems with menopause, the way that we can cope with it is still through specific lifestyle factors, right? Um, and the major problem with, let's say, menopause are your hot flashes, which causes that's a major issue with women, which is why they're more likely to look at other methods such as with hormonal replacement therapy
Mhm.
or specific medications. But really, you have to go back to the problem and look at your diet. Diet can
Mm,
definitely lessen the symptoms or the hot flashes. So we have to go away from the inflammatory food items like your caffeine, your alcohol, sugar definitely is a no-no. And women have actually studies have shown that when we look at these inflammatory items, that their symptoms will lessen. So it's not as bad anymore.
mhm,
But it's definitely of course it's very hard, right? Especially going through all these hormonal changes and mood swings. Like you have
mhm,
to prepare yourself and be aware of and be 100% cautious of what you're eating. Um,
mm,
yeah, but also with that, another way of controlling these symptoms or how you're feeling when you're going through menopause is also to take a step back and to work on your gut. Make sure that it's in the right process of detoxifying and
mhm.
also eliminating the major problems, right?
Got it. So it still comes down to the gut. It still comes down
Definitely. Yeah.
to our autoimmune and its ability to
Yeah.
detox.
Yeah. It's
Interesting.
also looking at, of course, also looking at problems which you're having less of. Let's say, like, is your estrogen too low? So what can I
Mhm.
do to make sure that my estrogen levels are high enough? And that's when we also give supplements and functional medicine and in
Yeah.
central, but they're all
Mhm.
natural. So
Yeah.
we do have other solutions as well.
Yeah. What I love about Centra is you guys are really focused on nutrition first and then
Mhm.
supplementation second. So just change the lifestyle first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
And
mean, so of course supplements are expensive. So why not we just look at food first? It's food is the
sure.
most common. It's the most accessible. So we look into that first. Yeah.
Hmm. So what about andropause naman for guys? Because
Mhm.
like andropause starts very early. Like men
Yeah.
don't realize that parang it's what more or less once you hit puberty, you also hit andropause and
Yeah.
it's downhill from there. But then parang the changes naman are so subtle that
Right.
you don't
It's
really
not as
feel it.
bad.
Yeah, exactly. Parang feeling ko like for us women, like menopause just hits us like a brick and we
Yeah.
have to deal. Diba? But with like guys, it's just kind of like this gentle slope of
Yeah, they,
changes.
they have it easy. It's not as abrupt. It's not so sudden, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So like
Um,
are there any imbalances in terms of andropause when it comes to guys or
yes,
wala naman?
in some ways naman meron din. Definitely with their sex hormones as well.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of the manifestations, I would say that it's not as obvious or not as problematic.
Got it.
So, like compared to, let's say, with women going through menopause, what's scary because with menopause is your estrogen levels are changing so quick, so abruptly, or so
Uh-huh.
big that
Mm-hmm.
it leads to other problems for us, like with obesity or
Yeah.
with osteoporosis.
Mhm.
So that's the biggest difference.
Got it.
Um, but yeah, I mean they go through it also, and it's also a part of your lifestyle. So
Mhm.
as long as you're keeping everything in check, looking at your diet, are you exercising enough? That will definitely control the symptoms. Yeah.
Is that something that they have to kind of be mindful of or not really? Just in case like they kind of feel that there is something not normal. That's the only time that they kind of come in. But more or less, it's not like again
It's
like
not.
menopause for women that I'm dumb natin like when it's happening.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think it's as something to be worried about. Yeah,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, I have a question from a friend of mine. Yeah, lang siya. She has a question for somebody who is intersex.
Hmm.
So basically, like she was born male. She has an extra chromosome. Um, and but she identifies as female. So what happens in terms of hormones for that, or for somebody who is transitioning?
Yeah.
Um, and is there anything that you central doctors can do in order to kind of help alleviate that that transition process.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, at least like coming from our clinic, what we can do to help. Definitely one is acupuncture. So
Mm,
acupuncture has its healing process in terms of just I think that's such a stressful situation already to be in, right? So we just have to make sure that your mind is at ease. But then also acupuncture can help in the sense of your hormones, whatever you're dealing with. So for instance, we would put magical points in their reproductive organs, whether or not you were a male or female from before, but of course, interplaying all the problems. So definitely acupuncture will help.
mhm.
It will regulate all the imbalances, not just your scientific, aspect, but as well as your mentality and what you're going through.
Yeah.
Um, Second of all, I would definitely, for instance, recommend doing the colon cleanse just to detoxify and to reboot your
Mm,
in order to make sure that your toxins are being released, and as well as if you're having any absorption issues that can be addressed.
got it.
Um, yeah, and then in terms of the diet, of course, we'll be looking into that. We'll ask you a lot of questions
Mhm.
to get an interplay. If are you eating enough organic food? If you're having um, a balance between the good stuff and the bad stuff. Yeah.
What's interesting for me, Doc, is kind of hearing you talk about this. You really mentioned detox a lot.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, it's so
how does
important.
how does detox? Kasi for me, parang ang layo eh. How does detox connect to our hormones?
Yeah. Well, okay, so basically what's a good mnemonic that I remember from learning from functional medicine during the hormone module is that if we're going to look at hormonal imbalances, we can look
Mhm.
at it as PTSD, right? So how do we acknowledge these hormonal imbalances? So we look at P. So P stands for production, right? So we'll have to look at, okay, what is being produced too much or too little. And we look
Okay.
at T, which is for transport. So transport in terms of is something being transported too much or too little. And then
Mhm.
S is for sensitivity. Are your hormones reacting too much or too little? And then D stands for detox. So
Hmm.
detoxifying in terms of eliminating all of this. So all of what is too much or too little in terms of correcting it. So yeah, so detox is very important in that sense because we have to make sure that everything is being, let's say, within the normal range, not fluctuating too much.
Mhm.
And an example, I guess, of just of having this have treating the detox is with the colon cleanse. That's the most common in Central. Yeah.
Mhm. And we also have, I think, like the lymphatic dry
Yeah,
brushing,
yeah, definitely. That's
um,
cool. Yeah.
and then heavy metal
Also,
detox
heavy
if
metal
that is
detox.
needed.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so
Even
yeah,
just
mhm.
even with
Sorry.
just if you've done the high dose vitamin drip,
Mhm. Yeah.
that's also part of the detox, ensuring that you have all the supplements that you need, like your high dose of vitamin C, magnesium, and other things. Yeah.
Interesting. What is our non? I'm just curious. What is our parang pinaka common hormone issues like the patients come in for when they go to Central?
Definitely infertility. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
infertility, PCOS, thyroid. Yeah,
Okay.
I
So basically everything we kind of talked about earlier.
everything we talked about. Yes, but I definitely infertility is a major issue right now. Yeah.
Mhm. So like for example, so just to give people an idea
Mhm.
of what we kind of do. So if I were a patient that came in and I had PCOS and I wanted to have a baby and that was my main issue, what would a
Mhm.
consult with you kind of be like? Can you
Yeah.
run us through? Because we don't it's
Yeah.
very different than how it
Oh,
would
it's
be
so
like if
yeah.
you went to OB/GYN, right?
Yeah. Well, we would. I would personally, so I'd sit you down first. I would ask you to go through a holistic consult.
Mm-hmm.
So in Central, we do holistic consults where in which it's a long consult. It's usually at least 1 hour. And we really look into your lifestyle. So we'll ask you things on what you eat from breakfast all the way to dinner. We look at your sleep patterns, your
Mm-hmm.
stress, what do you do for living? Do you exercise? So we look all into your lifestyle questions and answers. But at the same time, we also look at your blood. So we do
Mm-hmm.
a live blood analysis. So I think you've done it already, right?
Yes,
So
I know.
we just
So
prick.
interesting.
Yeah, we prick a little bit of blood in your finger. We look at it in the microscope, and by then we can also assess you based on your symptoms and what we see in the microscope. How's your blood cells doing, right? So, are you eating enough vegetables? Are you getting enough supplements? So we can actually see that through the microscope,
Mm-hmm.
putting it all together. Yeah, so um, based on all of that, we'll then see what we could do with the patient. So if they're coming in for PCOS or infertility problems, we'll definitely look at what you're eating, how we can detox you as well,
Yeah.
and major supplements that we can give just to help speed up the process as well.
Mm-hmm.
Acupuncture is amazing. It has so many studies on fertility issues. Uh,
Mm.
so we'll definitely tap into that as well.
Okay.
Um, Acupuncture does wonders, because scientifically it does promote blood flow within the certain organs that you're targeting. And at the same time, it's such a good stress reliever.
Yes.
Um,
Puts you
one
to
of the
sleep. Basically, it puts me to sleep.
Yeah, yeah. I actually love acupuncture because it knocks me out.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also one of the healing factors, right? It definitely calms the patient down, relieves them from the stress. So yeah, that's what we'll be doing in Central.
So what I'm hearing from that is yes, so we have the services, of course, like to help push you along, but it
Hmm.
really is you really also need to do a lot of the work in terms
Yes,
of
yes.
figuring out where the stress is in your
Mhm.
life, that lifestyle change in terms of like food and
Yeah.
sleep, etc.
I guess
Um,
what also makes our consults different is that we're not just looking at it so scientifically or so the same with every patient. Every
yeah.
patient is so different. They tell us their life story.
Mhm.
um, we really look into personal factors as well because that will definitely manifest with what you're feeling, right? So whatever triggering factors that you have, or something major that has happened in your life, we also look into that. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that that's very interesting to note, no, na parang our health journeys, it isn't all the same. Hindi porket you have
No.
PCOS and I have PCOS means that it's the triggers and the underlying factors
Hmm.
are exactly the same. What
Yeah,
triggered you and what could have triggered me might be like something totally different. Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah, definitely. There are, it's not specific, let's say. Everyone is different. Everyone is going through something different.
Hmm.
And definitely that will play a great role in what you're feeling and what is manifesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Like I have this childhood friend of mine growing up, and growing up, like she was like the tall lanky kid, um
Mhm.
and I think at around 8, like she got her period, and I think it was
Early.
a hormonal imbalance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she kind of stopped growing. She got boobs at 8, and I felt so insecure. I was
Wow.
like, is there something
Yeah.
wrong with me? I was like, I'm 8 years old and I'm like super flat, and like here's my friend that I always hang out with, and like
Yeah.
she boobs already.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. 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 That's
but yeah,
early.
but like she never really, but she never grew, like like in terms of height, like she never gained, she gained weight, but she never really
Mhm.
grew. in terms of height, and now
Right.
she's married and she has like PCOS issues that she's trying to
Mm.
solve.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think, yeah, I think I should really recommend her to you because
Yeah,
she she
definitely.
would she would appreciate that journey of
Yes.
getting to know her body a lot more. And I think that's it in terms of hormones, is really
Understanding. Yeah, definitely.
understanding like where it's coming from, and not just kind
Mhm.
of wala na sa lahi eh. That's it. I
Yeah,
can't do anything
exactly.
about it.
Yeah. And you know,
You
it's
know.
also like you have to be aware of it also. It's not just accepting it or being like, oh, I have hormonal problems. Let's just deal with it. Like no,
Yeah.
like don't allow it to overcome or to take control of you. Like you can control these. There are changes that you can do with the help, of course, with if you need to take certain medications in order to control it first. But there
Yeah.
are other ways in which you can yourself do a major change. Yeah.
So it is manageable. It's just that we
Mhm.
kind of need to learn, from what
How?
I'm hearing from you, yeah, like how and like where it stems from and what
Yeah.
really triggers it.
Yeah, definitely. Looking at your everyday choices in life, also
Mhm.
from at home, from work, from outside. Like what are these influencing factors? Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the trickiest part, especially when it comes to us and hormones. It's like a lot of what we do is so normalized. Like it's normal to like open like a can of pork and beans in the morning, right?
Yeah.
And eat that. Or it's
Mhm.
normal to like cook tocino uh,
Yeah.
in the morning, and and have that. It's normal to have
Yeah.
rice like
Yeah.
3 meals a day,
Yeah.
but it's not serving us. And
Right.
it really takes somebody else, like a central doctor, to
Mhm.
look at like your food intake and
Yeah.
go, this is not good for you. And
Yeah.
this needs to
It
change.
does seem so straightforward. Like everybody knows what's healthy and what's not. But
In
it's
theory.
not. Yeah, in theory, right? But like sometimes you just have to sit down and really like be aware of it.
Hmm.
When we do our holistic consults with our patients, and when we ask them like, okay, what do you eat for breakfast? Do you have coffee or tea? It's like even though they for them it's so normal, it's only then will they realize what they are putting in their systems, and then
Hmm.
also having that aha moment like, oh, okay, I'm actually not so good. Like I thought I was healthy, but then seeing it in front of you, laying it all down, that's when they come into like their knowledge that I'm not doing so well anymore as I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it definitely, when we ask these questions, it opens up the doors and making them realize, maybe there are certain triggering factors that they didn't manifest before,
Hmm.
or there are stress factors as well that they didn't thought was such a big determining factor until having a consult. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think another thing that I kind of like, one of my aha moments when going through the holistic consult, is like be as honest as possible with your
Yeah.
doctor. I
Yeah.
think I think a
We're
lot
not
of
here
the
to
time,
judge.
exactly. I think a lot of the time, kasi sinamahan ko yung kaibigan ko like
Yeah.
to do his consult, and it's just kind of funny, I guess, because the line of questioning is very personal.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're kind of ready to, okay, I'm ready to tell you, doc, like ano yung masakit sa katawan ko and yung mga anik-anik ko. But
Yeah.
like never it's but then you kind of ask questions about like, do you have anxiety? Do you
Mm-hmm.
know if you have
Mm-hmm.
anxiety?
Yeah.
Or like how's your sleep pattern? And a lot of the
Mhm.
time I realize like we have our automatic response is to look good.
Yes. To
Look, I
confidence.
get like 8 hours of sleep, and
Yeah.
this is, my, I eat really well.
Yeah.
Um,
Correct.
but then like once you do a little bit more digging, it's like, yeah, you have like tocino and longanisa every morning for breakfast, and you drink like 5 cups of coffee, and etc. And then it kind of dawns on them that parang, oh nga, no, yeah,
Something's
it's not
wrong.
that's not good pala.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, definitely, like, of course, honesty. Like when we do these consults, we'd have to give that, that rapport and that patient doctor relationship, that it's just between us, and the more you tell, the better, the more we can help you.
Yeah.
um, I know, for instance, like coming from other doctors, like traditional doctors, na, they get mad at you for, let's say, doing something that you're not supposed to, or eating something you're not supposed to. But with Central, like, you have to become aware of it. Like, you have to know what you're doing wrong and letting us know, so that we can help you change, and what are the next steps from there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
And
realized.
we can tell in your blood.
Exactly. Lalabas din siya. Like,
We can
wala
come out.
kayong no choice. Yeah, exactly.
You
Like,
know, yeah,
yeah, no. Mhm.
I remember like having a patient who was a strict vegetarian, as in vegan, actually vegan.
Mhm.
Um, and you would first think that, she's vegan, she exercises, she looks really good,
Mhm.
she's eating all the healthy stuff. Pero no, not necessarily. Like, we look into her blood, and then we will see that the vegetables that she chose to eat with her vegan diet is actually not the good ones. It's always the
Mhm.
starchy kinds. It's not the leafy vegetables. So when in fact, when you're looking into it, you'll see that there are bigger problems than what they thought of. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you never really know like what's happening um,
Mm-hmm.
until you get that consult and until you have that conversation with your central doctor. Okay, I
Yeah.
have a question from Wei Wei Ang, and she says, "Good morning. I was diagnosed with PCOS last September. Hindi ako binigyan ng OB ko ng gamot until now. Pinagda-diet lang po ako. Sa lahat ng symptoms, cyst po ang wala ako. Bakit kaya hindi po ako binigyan ng gamot? Salamat po." That's actually a good thing.
Yeah.
Uh,
It might, that's actually, yeah, I would say that's actually a good thing, because with PCOS, like, as I said, like, lifestyle factors is the best way that you can deal with it. Having your meds, let's say with the birth control pill, like, that's just supplementary, and it's not your complete answer. So actually, I'd say that's correct. It's a good thing if you can correct it first now with your diet, making sure that you're not eating so much of the sugary, or having a hard carb diet. If that can work first, then that's the best solution. Yeah.
mm. And if you need a little bit more help with that and to look at your underlying conditions, then please book an appointment with
Yeah.
Dr. Matt. We actually do
Yeah.
have a promo this entire month of February. It's 25% off all of our
Good.
consultation. So if it's
Yeah.
holistic or functional, which is like the longer, more detailed consultation,
Mhm.
yeah, you get 25% off that. So if you want to experience .NET, please, by all
Mhm.
means, set an appointment with her. So yeah, so Doc, just to wrap this up, for
Mhm.
people who want to sit down with you and talk to you, where can they find you?
Okay. So actually, right now, I'm not doing physical consults, just because I have a baby and with the COVID, but I do online consults.
Yeah.
So we can totally schedule an online consult with Central, and with all the, let's say, with the treatments or the services that I think you might need. The doctors will definitely be equipped in any
Yeah.
branch. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
We have
from
a lot of
Alabang, QC, or
yeah.
Pasig.
We have a fantastic group of central doctors. Everybody is super knowledgeable. Everybody is super well. That's actually super good energy. Like minsan I'm kind of like I'm not sure if I'm at a clinic or at a spa half the time. It's
we're
just
very we're very positive thinking people.
exactly, and like it's just so calming, and so healing whenever I go. I love visiting
That's
the clinics.
amazing to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do
But
offer like a place
mhm,
for people to go to, where in which other conventional places may not have given them the answer that they need.
yeah.
And if ever, I mean, yeah, we're just also like, we could be your first option too, and it's great. Like, You can definitely have options that you didn't think were possible.
Mhm. What I love to tell everybody is you don't have to feel sick to
Yeah.
central. It's all about
Yes.
preventative wellness. It really is about like you feeling a lot better for a lot longer. Because I
Yes.
think we have this misconception. I'm only going to go to the doctor when
I
I'm
think
feeling.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. When I feel something, that's really not when your doctor wants to see you. They want to see you habang okay ka pa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keep you healthier for longer.
Yeah, definitely. Health is wealth. Like, you don't have to necessarily feel something bad in order to address the issue. And the best way to cure something is through prevention. So
Mhm.
start on the right path and just continue it rather than being at the end stage already.
And I think, Doc Nat, just talking to you, like one of my biggest aha moments really is that if even if you're feeling one thing, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's like, for example, I have a thyroid problem. It
Mhm.
isn't just a thyroid problem. Like the imbalance isn't just with my thyroid. It's my entire physical, mental, emotional, spiritual
Yeah.
well-being
Yeah.
that really is out of whack. And as I heal my thyroid, it's also me looking at other aspects of my life. Like, how
Yeah.
is my stress? Like am I sleeping well?
Yeah.
What food, or as Doc Sasa would say, what information am I feeding my body?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and usually it's that one thing that really wakes you up to the other aspects of your life. And I didn't realize how interconnected it was until you started
Everything.
talking about, because in my head, like, hormones is equal something I go through puberty, or it's
Mhm.
something that I have to deal with because of genetics,
Mhm.
but more of a lifestyle issue na rin pala ngayon. So
Yeah,
that's kind of
definitely. And
that's kind
that's
of
why
scary.
it's getting more and more important each day now, right? Like with the things that are being put in our food or the toxins that we're being exposed to in the environment, that definitely will take a toll on your hormones and everything else. That's It's definitely all connected, and we shouldn't just focus on one thing. We should definitely focus on the holistic aspect. Like what you
Mm.
said, it's a mentality, it's spirituality, it's a physical aspect as well. Yeah.
So it really is you changing your entire journey
Yeah,
because
yeah.
of this one thing that popped up. But I think it's for the better. So yeah, so to those of you that are listening, thank you so much for staying with us and for your questions. If you have any other questions for Doc Nat, you can leave them in the comment section and we will get to them. Thank you so much, Doc Nat,
Thank
for
you
you
so
taking the
much for
time to
having me.
talk to me today and educating me on hormones and everybody else as well. As
Mhm.
usual, it's such an interesting chat, just this
Yeah.
entire journey and just breaking it down so hindi siya nakakatakot,
Hmm.
because there's a lot of misconception about, oh, if I go to the doctor, they're going to tell me something bad and it's my hormones. So I have no control over it.
No,
Um,
we're definitely here to give you an answer, and an answer that you can take charge of, a modifiable answer, right? So it's not just a black and white picture where it's the end. It's definitely something that you can take charge of and make things better for yourself.
I love that. So you definitely are in charge of your health. Like wala
Mhm.
kayong choice. the
If
the
you want
whatever
it, you will get it.
that whatever is happening to you, there is a solution to it. You just need to really work hard at it. That it's not an easy one fix solution if you want long term results.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
so
to
much.
everybody watching. And yeah, we will see you again next Sunday with a new topic. Lovely to see you, Doc Nat. Hope to see you
Thank
soon.
you. All
All right.
right. Bye.
Bye.